You are listening to the Smuggler's Galaxy podcast, my favorite podcast to listen to on long flights across the galaxy.
This is the way.
We're wanted men.
Spoken.
Welcome to episode 104 of the Smuggler's Galaxy podcast, your favorite Star Wars podcast. We all know that's not true, but it sounds good, doesn't it?
It's slowly becoming mine.
Awesome. I've got Jason with me as always, and then we've got a special treat this week. We got the guys from Nerd U. We got Darren and Matthew, which I love it because you guys have your names on your screen, so I can't mess them up.
Hey.
Yeah, I was wondering if he was going to catch that and call me Daryl, but thank you for having us on, and I'm very excited to be talking nerdy stuff.
Yeah,
absolutely. It is an honor, gentlemen. Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming on, guys. Well, first of all, I know you guys are both beer drinkers, so what are you guys drinking?
I am drinking Stillfire Brewery Dude 21 IPA.
Nice.
With the most amazing koozie, keeping my drink nice and cold.
The GASWC.
Woo woo.
I'm currently drinking out of LaGrange, Georgia, Wild Leap Alpha Abstraction Volume 21. It's a double IPA. I believe they brewed it with Citron Galaxy hops, 8% ABV. And unlike you savages, I'm drinking mine out of a glass.
I'm drinking mine out of a glass. It's just silicone.
I'm drinking mine out of a can as it should be drank.
I can go on for about 20 minutes. Not supposed to drink it out of a can.
If you guys can't tell, Darren is a beer rep, so he's taught me a lot in the short time we've known each other. He's always good for, hey man, you want some beer? Come on.
Yeah. I usually keep a backpack of beer with me at shows for certain people that know that just like, hey, you like beer? Yeah, I like beer. I like beer.
Perfect.
What about you? What you drinking, Jason?
Some nice, refreshing refrigerator water.
Yeah. Straight from the filter.
Yes.
Yeah, it is. It's already melted.
And I'm drinking a Reformation Cadence out of Woodstock.
Is that a porter? Is that a porter?
It's dude, I don't know what it is. It's good.
I see dark beer, so
it's really freaking dark.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. I just know I like it. That's the one beer that stumps me. It's like I don't know what it is, but they dare.
All that it's good.
Yes, exactly. And it's high alcohol, like it's 8%.
Yeah,
so.
That's a low end stout. To be honest, most stouts come in 12, 14.
This isn't a stout though. It's just dark.
It might be
scare me.
Probably a lighter porter or a Scotch ale.
Yeah, I don't. Oh, hold on. I've got the can right here.
The can.
We realize this is supposed to be a podcast about Star Wars and nerd stuff, and Jay's over here like rolling his eyes because we're talking about beer and everything.
Yeah, I've checked out. I'm waiting for my Zoom to install so I can get on my regular way.
It says it's a Belgian style ale.
That's a dark Belgian.
It is a dark Belgian. Dang.
And it's 6.9. I thought it was 8, but it's 6.9.
That's a beer Belgian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they did a 500 for like, because they're named after the reformist, the Martin Luther things, because the guy used to be a pastor or still is a pastor.
Yeah.
So they did a 500 and it was like a 10.5 or something. So that was a fun beer.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So we normally talk about. I'm trying. It's so weird. Pickups. So did you guys pick up anything? Pickups? Did y'all pick up anything this week? Do you guys pick up like when you pick up, what did you pick stuff up for the store, or did you pick up stuff for your personal collection, or what? Or
Oh, I get in trouble if I buy things from my personal collection.
uh
So everything that I've been buying recently has been for the store. So I think the coolest thing that I got is complete
Oh,
inbox.
wow.
This one and Mega Man
Man
2. Yeah. These
Yeah.
are probably my favorite finds.
That was a Empire Strikes Back, what, Atari game?
NES.
NES?
Yes.
Which was the
Wow.
first game I ever had on my NES.
Is that
Yeah.
sealed?
Yeah. Well, it's not factory sealed, but it's complete in box. Has all the
Wow.
inserts and instruction manual.
Wow.
So,
Yeah, it's
Amazing.
needs an instruction manual.
do what? Oh, yeah.
It's 6 buttons. Needs an instruction manual.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, it was 2 buttons and it needed an instruction manual.
Did you pick any?
That one.
Huh?
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. What were you going to say? Say it. You're talking about the game.
That game, like you get to the Bespin, or not Bespin, you get to Dagobah, and that's it. That's as far as you can get. Good luck.
It's like the warp tunnel in Battletoads, right?
Yeah, that thing's impossible.
He's never getting past that level.
Yeah. Oh, it looks like Jason got his computer working now.
I
Back.
was about to say, now he looks like prestigious, all fancy and such. Yeah.
That's right, son. But blur my background so you don't see my bedroom.
We can still see it.
Yeah, I know. It's not working. Come on, computers work.
And he's frozen. Even better.
I'm still here though. You can hear me,
Okay.
right?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, we got you, bro.
Totally hear you. What did you pick anything up, Jason?
Yeah. So on our way to the thing this weekend, I picked up a figuring Dan, making my number 7 Dan. So now I have the entire band.
Nice.
And I also picked up on Deal or No Deal some original Micro Machine art. The Imperial Naval Command. What do they call him? Imperial Naval Commander soldier, and a just another commander. But it's drawn by Errol McCarthy, who did a lot of the art. And he would sketch out stuff and he would give it to the sculptors so they would have something to work from, and then they would sculpt different poses based on his artwork. So I'm excited to have
That's
that.
dope, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys know it, but Jason's a pretty hardcore Micro Machines
Micro
collector.
Machines, that's my jam.
Yeah.
Hey, dude. Hey, man. I'll tell you what, the Star Wars Micro Machines line was super rad.
Yeah.
But there were so many pieces per set that it was obnoxious.
Oh, I loved it. The playability on those things were just, they're the best at the time.
Oh, I'll agree.
Little fold out.
Yep. Those, the little vehicles themselves, like my brother and I were all about Micro Machines. And then when Star Wars came out, it was like, yes, we're going there now.
Oh, yeah, man.
Yeah.
Those were phenomenal. Like I wore mine out.
Yeah.
I lost everything. I ended up just having like the base, and that was it. Like,
Yeah.
everything was gone.
Yeah.
I was a terrible kid.
You just really like playing with your toys, man. It's all right.
Yeah. If I knew then if I know now, then what I knew now, yeah, that's how the saying goes.
Yep. That's how it goes.
Well, the deal is everybody says that, but if everybody saved their stuff, we'd have Power of the Force 2 all over again. And Death of Superman.
Oh yeah.
And every 90s comic book that ever came out.
Yeah.
Yeah. That I'm glad people played hard with us. Yeah, I can go grab 3 of those.
I know, right? I
Well,
think I have
show the
3 of
people
them
listen.
here.
Tell the people listening what you're holding up.
Oh yes, the most rare copy of X-Men #1, the Jim Lee run, which was actually probably one of the best X-Men runs. Like arguably, it was great. Artwork was phenomenal. Storylines were great.
Yeah.
But man, did they press like 8 billion copies of this book.
It's the highest
Man,
comic book of all time.
it's
Damn.
nuts.
Jim Lee actually had his hands insured for $500,000 so he could finish that book.
Wow.
That's crazy.
It's Jim Lee and Chris Claremont. So like
Right.
one of the greatest artists in the 90s and the greatest X-Men writer. It was going to sell massive amounts of books.
Mhm.
Just too bad it didn't hold any value.
Yeah. Well,
Hmm.
because they printed a shit ton of them, of everything,
Yeah.
man. Just like when they did the 2099 and all that stuff.
9 run. Everyone. Punisher 2099. X-Men 2099. Everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ravage 2099. Like,
and I
who
had
was Ravage?
Right. Who was
Give him
Ravage?
a book.
I need
Screw it.
Ravage 1990. Where's that?
I need to know where he was before 2099.
Jason, is there any news this week? Oh, I forgot what I got.
Yeah.
My wife bought me one of those Stormtrooper contain. All right, country music. The whiskey containers or whiskey decant, whatever they're called.
Canters.
Decanters. Yeah, I don't drink whiskey,
Oh.
so I don't know. I got to find something to put in it.
I do. I drank too
I
much of
know.
it this past weekend. Hence the
You
reason
don't-
water.
Yeah.
Don't whiskey, just switch to Scotch.
Yeah.
It was Scotch whiskey is actually what it was.
Oh, yeah. I like
monkey
Jay Moore.
shoulder. It was good stuff. Was that all you got?
Well, and then I got they came out with the Rebels. I guess it's a pendulum or whatever. It's about an inch thick of like all the Rebels comic books that they ever came out, all their comic appearances
Yeah.
in one book.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, they had one that came out that was like a very rare cover that they were charging like $100 for. And when I went to look at it, they were like, "Wait a couple of weeks, it'll come out like a normal edition." So I got the normal edition for like $30, which is a lot for me to pay for a comic book. But when it's an inch thick, it'll take me a few minutes to read it. So
Oh yeah, most definitely.
A few minutes.
yeah,
Yeah.
it'll take a while. But awesome. Is there any news, Jason?
The only news I really had, so this past week for the Micro Galaxy Squadron, Slave One, what do they call it? Boba Fett Starship now. It came out that there was a little tab that you can press to prevent the thing from rotating because it's got a gimbal in it. So if it's down, the cockpit's level, and if it goes up, the cockpit kind of changes to be level that way. And that little tab is not supposed to do that thing. So if you play with that tab, you might actually break the vehicle. So that's the only thing.
Kids at home, don't play with that tab.
Don't play with that tab. Don't
At
play with
all.
your tabs, kids.
Have y'all been? I saw you guys had one of the chases. Have y'all been chasing those, but or looking at, trying to get those in your shop, or
I've been hunting for them only because of the chases. Like I saw Facebook flood out with them the week they launched, and then I was like, oh, those things are a thing again.
Yeah.
And so I just started looking for chases. I found the one, and then of course I got Boba Fett's Starship. But yeah, I mean, dude, that's like finding the rare or the chase of anything at this moment. That's it. You just got to camp somewhere.
Yeah, you got to run from one store to the next store to the next store and just hope.
Right.
All day long.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, actually, this is the first time I found some today, and I was like in a like South Atlanta somewhere, and you were on one of those exits where it's only truck stops, but there's a Walmart, I guess, for the truckers. So I'm like, I'll run in there because I've normally had pretty good luck in that part of town, and they had like a half case of the chase of the mystery boxes. Somebody had cut through them all.
Oh.
Yeah.
This is why we can't have nice things. People stop cutting that.
Yep.
Exactly. Man.
But if it stops the whole chase thing, I don't need to beat this dead horse, but I'm not a chase guy. I don't like it.
It's for the completionists. It is for resellers, really.
Exactly.
It's
it really
for
is.
Buy them and sell them for more money than it's really worth, just so they can have that complete set. And it's not necessary. I mean, like it's taking the toy factor out of the toy.
Yeah, because then it's just a set piece. It's just a conversation. He's like, look, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know very many people that come to my house and look at my collection and say, hey, tell me all the information about that specific toy. Like, oh, well, that's a chase. They don't care.
Yeah,
Right.
well, most people check out once they hear chase.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Look,
Yeah,
I had
you
to go-
can't get too nerdy for people. You get like the average person, and you start telling them everything, and you could just see the blank look on their face. It's like, yeah, you
Mhm.
checked out.
You go to sleep with their eyes open.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What kind of stuff do you guys collect?
Well, I'm kind of like your wife. I collect Gremlins,
Mhm.
and Howard the Duck, and Star Wars, of course. But yeah,
Right. Is there a lot of Howard the Duck stuff? No, you got to say no. Don't just shake your head. man.
no, I forgot that there's an audio to this. No, there is unfortunately not that much Howard the Duck stuff. Although they are releasing a legend of him in this next wave,
Huh.
in the windowless wave.
Right.
They're gonna have a Howard in it. I don't know if I can spend $35 on that sucker though.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know if I can do it.
We'll
So-
circle back around to that in a second.
Wait,
Darren,
Marvel Legends is $35 now?
Well, circle. Yeah, we'll circle.
Okay.
I want to hear what Darren collects, and then we'll circle
You
back around to
lost
that.
me.
Yeah.
I'm a big comic book guy, so I collect Uncanny X-Men Volume 1. I collect a lot of Batman stuff. You can see my Joker poster in the background.
Yeah.
Then toy wise, I don't have a specific line that I chase. I buy what I used to have when I was a kid.
Yeah, we all
So-
say that.
That's the true collector's excuse.
Yeah. Also, anything involving the Crow, I will buy.
So
I
that
will
I thought
pay
that
more-
was
Yeah.
I thought that was a crow poster behind you, because it really looks like it could be one.
Yeah.
It really does.
That's Brian Israel's Joker. He's an amazing painter. So he did a comic book run of Joker coming out of Arkham, and it's all painted.
Mhm.
Every panel is painted, and then they scanned it and shrunk it down and wrote. And it's an amazing story. If you are a comic book fan, I always recommend that book to any kind of like adult comic book reader.
hmm
He definitely skins some people in that book.
Mhm.
Hmm. It's been a while since I've read a comic book that's not Star Wars. I wouldn't even know where to start.
Right.
The Carnage USA one's really cool, man. If you're a Spider-Man guy.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, Star Wars is a great place to start. Read what you like.
Yeah.
I can go through a list of like must-read comic books, but if you just want to read a comic book and you like Star Wars, read a Star Wars comic book. The Darth Vader run that Marvel put out is incredible. The Darth Maul run that they put out recently is amazing.
Yeah.
They're doing a lot of really good stuff at Marvel for Star Wars right now.
I did read that Darth Vader run, and that was phenomenal.
Yeah.
That was the best. And then it just kind of went downhill from there.
Well,
in my opinion.
they started oversaturating the market as they do. They started seeing the sales, and then they're like, well, Darth Vader, Dr. Aphra,
Yeah.
we need Jedis, we need Sith, we need bounty hunters, but we also need Mandalorians. So they just start branching out. It's the same thing that happened in the 90s with the X-Men.
Yeah, they also load up the first couple issues with like their best writers, and then they take them off, and the quality does go down a little bit with the writing.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, you put your best writers on it to hook them, and then it just kind of, absolutely.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Don't you guys have a signing with a Star Wars artist in one of the most recent runs?
That's ABT's doing it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Land of
my
Vintage
bad.
Toys is doing with George's.
Okay. Yeah, it was George's, yeah. Because
Yeah.
he's doing the Mando run.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, dude, it's all good. He advertises in the club. He's a member of the club, so both those guys. So, yeah.
Yeah,
back
might
to-
as well plug that. Because
say it. What is it? I don't even know when it's
September 26th at Atlanta Vintage Toys and Cobb Antique Mall. I think they're doing something. I probably have it all wrong.
Let me look.
With all the problems I'm having with my computer.
I
Today.
always want to put like ABT. There we go. And I feel really, let's see.
Yeah.
Come on. Do. Saturday the 24th, September 24th at Cobb Antique Mall.
I had it wrong.
I don't know if at 12 p.m. at Cobb Antique Mall. George's
Square.
Country. Yeah. So
Let's go there. Get your book signed.
yeah. Cool.
Oh.
So
That-
back
that's-
to the huh?
Go ahead. No.
No. I was gonna go back to the $35 Marvel Legends, but
Oh boy.
that nauseating subject.
Is that the price of Marvel Legends now?
They're doing a windowless run now. Apparently, all the toy companies are quote unquote getting green, and so they're getting rid of the plastic window, the plastic bubble, and they're going to a straight full cardboard box, still shaped the same way.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of you being able to see the figure, now it's just the artwork of the figure. But yeah, now the retail price on those is $31.49, or depending on where you're at, $31.88, or if you find them at Walmart. But yeah, man, and the 2-packs are even worse. They're like $53. So
Wow.
I mean, most collectors now, for at least the guys that I've met now with Marvel Legends, those guys are all out of the box collectors. So I mean, why are you going to pay $35 to take something out of the box?
Yeah. And we mentioned it last week. Someone opened up a Spider-Man and the eyes were off a little bit. So you can't even see what you're buying before you get it.
at least it was
God.
at least it was the Spider-Man.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, I mean, if his eyes are off just a little bit, it's not that noticeable. If you open a Spider-Man and suddenly he has like a very large nose, it's gonna be an issue.
Yeah, one eye started like right here, and the other eye was kind of right down the brim of the nose. And the other one was off, like right where the.
He was looking to the right.
Yeah, apparently. But the
He
webbing,
he was in a hurry putting his mask on.
webbing was right.
Yeah,
His
you can
eyes were
you can pose them and make it unnoticeable if you're just taking them out of the
I
box.
guess you got to be creative then.
That's just nuts, though. But to have to go through that trouble and not be able to see it beforehand, like you're paying that much money, and then you have to wait till you get home to pop open that seal, and then find out that you bought a figure that's jacked up.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
true.
Yeah, it's just I feel bad on the collector side. It sucks for a reseller, because we were talking about this earlier. Like, you have to try and resell that. It's almost impossible, because you're keying into value versus what your investment is. It's ridiculous.
So when you say reseller, are you meaning someone brings you the figure, or are you getting it from Hasbro and selling it?
Well, even like as a store, being able to go through and get it at a wholesale margin, just like Darren was saying, not at the exact rates that like big boxes are getting it at, but still get it at a wholesale price, would be totally different than us going out and hunting it ourselves and paying that $35 to get that figure, and then have to hope that the value's high enough on that figure. So that way it's not us just being like, oh, well, we need to make this much. Luckily enough, that figure is worth that much.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the crapshoot you have to try and take. Like those windowless Spider-Man, their value isn't near what it should be for a reseller to be able to do what they need to do with that. So it's just better off for a collector just to be able to walk into a store and hope they find it, than go into a secondhand store, or even a vendor for that matter, and see it and be like, oh, well, you guys got it for $72. That sucks.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look at it and treat it like
I'm gonna think it belongs in a museum.
You're right. I'm gonna laugh at you and walk out.
yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, I love when people come up to my booth and our booth and pick something. I'm like, well, how much do you want for it? And you tell them, and then they just put it down and walk away. I'm like, well, clearly you don't want to pay that much.
Right.
Right,
That
they're not
or
even gonna fashion an offer. They're just gonna say, okay, bye.
yeah, and then you guys had those Silverhawks at Legion, and everybody's picking them up by the bubble, and I'm like, what the hell are you doing, guys? Come on.
Yeah, that was a kind of you're screwed if you do, screwed if you don't. I could have put those on the top shelf and risked them falling 8 feet and hitting something and damaging it, or I could put it on the ground on the table and then people are going to manhandle it. I mean, thank goodness no kids came up and was like, "Oh, this is neat," because that's usually when I get a little bit of a pit in my stomach where I'm like, "Oh God," because kids don't look at price; they look at that's neat and they just grab it.
Right.
And I'm fine with it. I want kids to come up and see that. I love kids coming to the table, because I'm a big believer in, like, we're not gonna have a collection market if you take your kids to a show and don't let them experience the show. Like, don't touch that, don't buy it. No, we can't get that. It's $30. Like, you're gonna have to let them in.
Right.
At some point or another.
Mhm.
We were really fortunate at this last show at Smyrna, though, because in Legion, the parents were really like, we didn't have any children that were like screaming around the place, acting a fool or anything like that. And all the kids were pretty respectful. They weren't beating up inventory on people's tables or anything. So I'd say we were pretty fortunate on that one. But we have had a couple shows where kids were running around grabbing high dollar items, and you feel like your butthole's puckering up here.
You're buying that. Your parents are buying that if you break it.
I don't care. I don't care. It's yours.
You watch kids pick up like big dollar items and then just walk off to where their parents are. You're just like, I'm gonna go chase a kid.
Yeah, you just stepped out of the 6-foot bubble. Get back here, kid.
Right. Well,
So how do you prepare for?
Yeah, no. Go ahead. No, I was just gonna say I thought y'all were smart because you guys had the $5 and $10 buckets kind of buffering the table, so you could have the little kids like, "Ooh, I just want to dig through this crap," which I've always thought that was a good idea. Because you can either make money $5 at a time, or you make it $50 or $100 at a time. So you're gonna sell the same amount of stuff, I think, at the end of the day.
Pretty much.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
How do you prepare for a show like that? How do you know what to bring? Like what's selling? What's the trends lately?
Well, Legion was a crapshoot for us because it was our first time.
Yeah, we've prepared for like shows like Toylanta, the Conyers show, Savannah. You can prepare for some of that, but 100% full transparency, it's a crapshoot. I mean, especially for new shows, you can go in and be like, well, we got to make sure we bring modern toys and some vintage, but keep it to like vintage Star Wars, G.I. Joe, Masters of the Universe stuff where you like the big recognizable stuff. Or you can just bring all your good stuff. Just say, like, let's bring Silverhawks. Let's bring Lord of the Rings stuff. Let's bring that advanced D&D figures. Let's bring those big play sets. And then you just watch people play museum all day long. It's a crap, dude. It really is. It's a lot easier with comics. You just bring all of them.
Yeah, it's easier.
Yeah.
And I did note. I'm sorry. I did notice you mentioned comics that this past Legion Con there were a lot more comic vendors, or a lot more people had comics on their tables.
I know that was a big thing Chris was pushing for this show.
Okay,
was
awesome.
As many people bringing comics as possible.
Is that because it's the trend, or does he want to push the show to be more comic book focused?
Chris, I know, is just a lover.
Yeah,
okay.
Like he just he's a local artist in Atlanta. He's already pressed a few books, and so that's a big thing. And he has a 4 a.m. comics in Marietta. So yeah.
I mean, the trend right now is absolutely bananas. We're coming off the back end of COVID where the trend was, if it's collectible, it'll sell. Everyone wants something. I don't want to talk about that.
You're holding up a Reva pop from Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah.
Not only is it a pop, it's Reva.
Yeah. Do you guys do pops?
We didn't originally, and we were so firmly against pops. We tried it and fell flat on our faces.
Yeah.
And even 3 months ago, we were talking about how we're not doing pops. And then like 2 months after that, we're like, we got to do pops. We got to do pops because there's a big market for pops all of a sudden.
There's a huge market for pops.
Really?
Well, yeah. So my nephew, who is, I think, 10 years old, he collects pops. So your market is now, instead of adult male 25 to 60, your market with pops is now you're covering 8 years old all the way up to like mid 20s into their 30s.
Yeah.
You're not your big collectors, but the people that are new into collecting, they go for pops. Because that's the thing right now. And yeah, probably someday the bubble's going to burst on it. It's bound to
the
happen.
Beanie Babies.
Yeah, it's bound to happen.
Yeah, the only thing I think Pops has got over Beanie Baby, the only that is that Pops keeps up with the pop culture. So if something's hot, they're making a pop of it, and they're making it fast, and they're they're $10, so people are like, I want this. Because when they did the Office Pops, that was the only merchandise you could find from the Office was Pops. So I bought them all. And thankfully I made my money back when I sold them. So
and I think that's a good point, because the bubble will burst on Pops, but I don't think it's going to burst the same way it did with Beanie Babies, because Beanie Babies, after the bubble was gone, that was it. There was no other value to it. I mean, Star Wars collectors the young Star Wars collectors are going to collect Star Wars Pops. Young Marvel MCU fans are going to buy Marvel Pops. They're not going to go away, but I don't think they're going to grow that value in the way that like vintage toys have yet. Now give it 30 years and they'll be popular again.
Oh
yeah. My wife and I were pretty into it. I think we had like 400 or 500 of them at one point, and we've pretty much got rid of all but about 20, and we made our money back because thankfully we were able to buy some hot ones. And on the common ones we lost our asses, but on the hot ones we made our money back.
Oh yeah, then you will. Well,
yeah.
You'll buy $1 and you'll have to sell them for like $2.
Right, exactly. And then we took like 10 of them into one place, and they gave us like $600 for them, and we're like, thank you very much.
I got 20 more. You want more? I got more.
But they were like Kill Bill, and they were all the harder ones to find, and
the
and
good
Fifth
ones.
Element, and
Pops.
Yeah,
I think,
go ahead.
Yeah, I think Pops are coming to a point. I think I lost my train of thought a little bit. I think Pops are like the gateway drug into collecting, because you said you used to collect Pops.
Right.
Do you collect Pops now?
No. Well, I keep the Rebels Pops going just because I have a full run of Rebels Pops, and it pisses me off when they make another one and I gotta buy it.
Well, you don't have to buy it. You want to buy it. There's a difference.
Yeah. But then I'm not going to have a complete run of Rebels Pops.
Yeah.
I love hearing that when people come up to my table and be like, well, you have that, and I don't have that in my collection. Now I have to buy it. And then usually their wife or husband or whoever is like, you don't have to. And then they're already getting their wallet out.
Yeah.
Like, I have to buy it.
I already did.
Right.
Yeah.
It's me.
What are you talking about?
It's more of an affirmation for myself than for Glenn. I just keep saying it to believe it one day.
Right. So how'd you guys meet? Just because, how'd y'all meet?
We met. My wife was actually working at the daycare where Darren was taking his oldest, and we met through wives. Brandy and Jennifer, I think, were talking about how nerdy their husbands were, and they were like, "Oh, well, they need to meet." And so we met, and then we were like, "Oh, so I want to open a comic book store." We're like, "So do I." Did we just become best friends? Yes.
Yeah. Then we high-fived. We definitely cut our wrists open, and then became blood brothers at his daughter's birthday party for everyone to witness.
Wow.
It was gory. I'm a bleeder. It was terrible.
Yeah,
Kids were slipping and sliding everywhere.
It was
It was legitimate happenstance. Like literally, I told his wife at the daycare that I was a huge nerd. I was trying to open a comic book shop, and she's like, "My husband's trying to do the same thing." I'm like, "Good, because I don't know what I'm doing."
Gotta love it when the wives are setting up play dates,
right,
or their husbands.
Yeah, I went
Yeah.
over and I played with his toys because he
Yeah.
took me first time we met. He's like, "Come check out my collection," and I'm pretty sure like our wives gave each other the look like they're gonna go play with their toys in their room.
You guys want
Wanna go
ham
play with my drum
sandwiches?
set?
Yeah, no mustard.
Ah! Oh man. Good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, it really was. I don't know. Like I'm not a religious person. I don't talk about fate much, but it was kind of fate. It was kind of serendipitous that all that kind of fell into place.
That's
Mhm.
awesome.
And then what? Shoot, Darren. Barely a year later, we were competing with the business plan competition at CSU.
Yeah, yeah. Which is how I learned how to write a business plan. Matt called me up and was like, they're doing a business plan competition at CSU and the grand prize is like $5,000. I'm like, okay, I'll write a business plan. He wrote a core one and he sent it to me, and I just started I learned how to do profit loss statements and break even calculations and all of that stuff, just so we could put a business plan in the competition. So I learned how to do business in about a week and a half.
Wow.
Wow. Take that,
We got
business
second
school.
place.
You got second?
Wow.
Yeah.
So what did you get? Like a high five?
No, we got $2,000,
Nice.
which went into the store. That was our first big investment into the store.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you have a
I don't
physical
think we bought
location.
any inventory with it though. What was
No.
that, sir?
No, you have a physical location.
Waiting to sign lease, and I know
Okay.
that's something that is making Darren want to shoot somebody. But yeah, it's taken a
Okay.
lot longer than we expected. But we have a spot in downtown Athens
Okay.
that we're gonna open up.
Nice.
So
So why did
if you guys do know us out in the vendor market and you've seen us and you keep asking us, do you guys have a store somewhere? The answer is yeah, soon. we will have a store somewhere. Like we were always, yeah, that's the plan. Now we're like, yes, we will.
yeah. So why go with a physical location as opposed to online retailer? Is it just personal preference?
There's
Go ahead, Darren.
there's a lot of reasons to just stay online, and we still are going to have an online presence. We're still going to have our convention and show presence. The convenience to having a physical location is loyal customers, your weekly comic buyers, your weekly toy buyers. And then we also have another plan to also bring people in that maybe aren't comic book buyers or collectors at all. And Matt can shed some light on that.
Yeah, we're wanting to. If either you guys or anybody listening has seen the movie Kick-Ass, there was a hangout spot where everybody hung out after school, and it was a comic book store that had an eatery attached to it. And so we're basically ripping off that idea. We're generating a length of stay, just because people who, like Darren was saying, who aren't even nerds or may not even know that there's a place that they can really go get this stuff besides Walmart or Target or whatever. To be able to let them come in, grab a bite to eat, get a cup of coffee, grab an energy drink, sit down, thumb through a book, buy a couple toys, meet up with their friends, role play for a little bit. We're going to have areas for all of that. And we just want to be able to provide a really safe environment that you don't have to feel intimidated to get drunk, especially because we're going to be downtown, a hop, skip, and a jump away from UGA's main campus. So we wanted to be able to provide a safe environment for not just those college students, but for everybody in the community. And that was the original plan for Nerd U when we were in Columbus. We wanted that for downtown Columbus because there was nothing like that there. And there still isn't anything like that there.
No, nothing. Still nothing there.
It'd be a nice stop for dads who go visit their daughters at UGA.
There you
Right?
go.
Next year.
I mean, you're
That's
18
it, man.
old kids that want to go out and hang out, and they're grew up playing Magic the Gathering and Pokemon or playing D&D, can still go do that while they're at college at a place where it's a cool local hangout spot, and you can also maybe purchase your Magic cards or your your Pokemon or your D&D, your tabletop gaming stuff, or get into the world of collecting.
Yeah, the tabletop is pretty big with the comic book store. I remember going up to one in New York all the time. I would go every Wednesday, and there was someone playing games, whether it was Magic or Star Wars or any of those tabletop games. It was pretty packed just for that.
Mm.
Yeah. Now imagine that at a comic book store, we can also get food.
Yeah. Do competitions, and that'd be great.
Oh yeah. Then we'll do events. We want to have guests come in and hang out with us, and basically, it's the comic book store that we always wanted when we were kids.
Awesome.
Like even toy collectors want to come in and you go into any comic book store or vintage toy store, and the energy is always a little bit like, okay, no one's sociable. They're all just kind of like your thoughts of a comic book store. Some guy sitting behind a desk, ignoring the customers until they're ready to check out.
Sweatpants.
And sweat. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, I don't think so. Get out of my store, sir.
Out.
Worst customer ever.
We want to be a more youthful, more energetic, more modern store that brings your old school collectors that want to buy your super rare Silver Age comic all the way up to the new guys that are buying My Little Pony comics.
Yeah, that's great.
Oh, the bronies.
Yes, the bronies.
Don't leave the
They're
bronies
such a-
out.
Hey man, there's such an interesting group, dude. Like I've
Yeah.
met some really cool bronies that you would
Mhm.
never expect until like
Mhm.
they roll up a sleeve and they got Rainbow Dash like right here with a heart around him.
It's awesome.
That's metal.
It is. You can't get harder than that.
Right?
So what made you guys want to open a comic book shop? I mean, I know y'all both personally wanted to open one, or is it just sort of like everybody who's a nerd is like, I want to open a comic book shop?
Well,
Yeah, I think it was like put up or shut up, right?
Mhm.
We've been doing the convention thing for
Or
so
the
long.
convention, or do the conventions, or start Nerd U? What made you want to start it?
I wasn't going to become a famous musician, actor, or athlete, so those three dreams were already shot.
Right.
So I was like, you know what? And I was working maintenance at the time that it kind of occurred to me, like, what can I do for the rest of my life that I would be happy doing? And I love comic books. I'm like, you know what? I could own a comic book store and just do that for the rest of my life. I would be happy just to be around it all the time.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And that was it. Like, I love it, and I wanna be able to surround myself in the things I love and do it for a living. Because that's what they say is if you do what you love, you never work for a day. This was before I understood that you could sell beer for a living. And when I found that out, I chased that with everything I had.
Nice.
I'd have to say the same thing. It's just after a while of doing the regular everyday type of job, whether or not it be working in a restaurant, working retail, just being somebody else's tool or instrument for their own success. Like, why not be the key to your own, right?
Right.
And it's something like Darren said, something I'm passionate about, something I enjoy, something my kids enjoy. So yeah, that was the biggest thing.
Awesome.
Where'd the name come from?
That would be me. I'm
Yeah.
guilty.
That's all.
Because it was, the original starting point was Columbus, with it being a college town. I was thinking, right, like university. So why not Nerd U? It originally was going to be Nerdtopia, and I toyed around with logos and everything. I was like, man, this is so stupid. And then it just, like, as soon as I crumbled up the last one, like, I thought about Nerd U, and I called Darren. And I was like, dude, this is what we're going to work with. And he said, sure.
As soon as he said it, I saw the logo in my head. Like, before he drew it out,
Yeah.
I sent me a little like sketch picture of it, which is still on our Facebook page. You can go find it.
Yeah.
The little sketch picture. I'm like, that's exactly what I had in my head. So that it kind of just it makes sense. And if I named it, it would be like Darren's comic book catastrophe. So I'm glad it's there.
Kismet. That's awesome.
And your guys' first show was the Conure show, right? Like 3 years ago?
4 years.
Is it
Yeah, it was
four?
about 4 years ago.
Jesus.
Yeah, man.
Wow.
We were doing this for 7 years. We've been doing this for like 7, 8 years now.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we went from like we're gonna do it, and then it turned into let's do some online sales, and then I don't know where it came up. It was like let's just do a comic book show.
Mhm.
And we just found that one. Like let's do that one.
It's kind of far away. Screw it. Let's go.
Well, that next to Toylanta is one of my favorite shows. I mean, well, there's Legion Con's coming up between those two, Legion Con and that show. Those are both good shows.
Yeah, man. It's always been really good to us. The community feeling, I think, is the biggest thing. Because even like all the old vendors see all the new kids like me and Darren walking in, and they were just as inviting. They would come and give us, they would just give us notes and, bestow a little bit of wisdom, take advantage of us, and chew us out of toys.
Yeah.
But aside from that, it really was a tremendous experience. And we left that show, we were like, oh, we got to do another one.
Yeah.
And then we found out about Toylanta, and we had that that measly little table on our poster board. And after that one, we were just as juiced, and they just kept going and going. And we talked about natural progression earlier, and that's basically what it really became. This was the next logical step for us.
We started with selling our personal collection. Like we were just parting out our own stuff.
Wow.
Like what are we willing to get rid of? And then it turned into buying little by little, collection by collection, until now we're at a point where we can get stuff like Silverhawks, and we can get those big impressive wall books that you see a lot of these other people. When I was doing like early shows, looking across the lane and seeing like, oh God, they have like 3 of those giant books. They have 3 Hulk 181s across the lane from me, and I have like a $50 book on my wall.
Venom number 1. Oh man.
But they probably packed up those 3 books, and you might have sold yours. So
I'm pretty sure they sold one of them. I watched them sell one of them. And then they let me hold an Amazing Spider-Man number 1.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Which was like a seeing God kind of moment for me.
Sure.
Wow.
Was that Conzilla?
That was Conzilla. That was one of the worst shows I've ever done, but at the
Mhm.
same time, it's one of the funnest shows I've ever done. Because it was just a bad turnout,
Mhm.
but I had a good time, and I met one of my favorite people in the vendor business. Like personally, met him there because he saw me come in a beer shirt, and he said, "You have any beer?" Like, yeah.
Were you at Joe Fest this year?
We were not at
Okay.
Joe Fest.
Right.
We're not brave enough to do Joe Fest.
We don't know anything about GI Joes,
You don't.
and we need to learn
Don't
about.
tell anybody.
Yeah, no, you don't need that for GI Joe for Joe Fest. I mean, there's vendors selling video games and stuff, so it's really just a title, and it's just become everything under the sun is available there. But it did seem to me like there was less people. So when you said it was like a horrible show, I was wondering what your opinion of Joe Fest was, but you weren't there, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, you're talking about the one that was back in. That was like a couple months ago. Wasn't it?
Yeah, in Augusta.
Yeah. No, we did not do that because they were talking about how it was just 12-inch and like 12-inch World War II GI Joe like centric figures. I'm like, there's no point even throwing my name in the hat.
No, it wasn't like that.
Not
was it,
that
Glen?
bad. No,
Yeah.
no. I mean, there's a lot of it, but it's probably like Toylanta used to be. I don't know what Toylanta is going to be in the future with them splitting, but it was like Toylanta used to be, where it was a big chunk of Joes, but a good mix of everything else.
Maybe in the future we'll go to Joe Lanta or Joe Fest, whatever they're calling it now.
Yeah.
Joe Lanta, right?
Yeah.
Joe Lanta is
I think it's
Joe
Joe Lanta.
Fest is in Augusta. Joe Lanta's here.
Oh, okay. So it's 2 different ones.
Joe,
Okay.
yes, yeah. And now they split up to Atlanta and Joe Lanta again. So we'll see how
How's
that
that
goes.
going? Your
Yep.
internet went out.
What internet went out?
Yours went. We
Yours.
didn't hear anything you said.
Oh, Hold on. All right, cool.
We hear you now.
No, but now they've split up Toylanta and Joelana, so I guess we'll see how that goes the next couple of years.
I'm sure
Should
it'll
be
be
interesting.
Yeah,
I don't know how much the 12-inch GI Joe collecting world is right now.
right.
I mean, I know it exists, but
Yeah, it's probably the older generation too.
yeah, it's I mean, it's the same thing. You look at like nobody back say in the 90s, people were probably buying cowboy toys and like old school 60s space toys. You don't see those anymore. It's
Right.
all 70s, 80s. Pretty soon it's going to be 80s, 90s, and then 90s. It's just going to work its way up with the generation of like, hey, I had that when I was a kid.
Right.
God, can you imagine the time where Toy Biz, like X-Men toys, were like $100 figures on card?
No.
That could be insane, dude. But it's gonna
No.
happen because everybody played with him, man. That 5th series Wolverine and his stealth armor, dude. He's gonna be like a $3,000 figure on card. Watch.
Well, I've always thought like not the Power of the Force 2 stuff, but like the Phantom Menace stuff, because now that generation is 25, 30 years old and they've got disposable income. So that's, I've always felt that's getting ready to come back around, but I've been saying that for 5 or 6 years and it hasn't started. It hasn't come back around, but
There's
I
more
still,
for it for sure, but it's not the value's not there because of how much they made.
yeah.
They just threw 3,000 Darth Mauls into one Toys R Us and said go.
Right.
Yeah.
And they sold every one of them though.
Aisles
Right.
and aisles of them.
Yeah, it like you go to what was Toys R Us like 5 years ago, and the Star Wars section is not what it used to be.
No.
So what are your thoughts on collecting being an investment? Because that's been a lot of conversation in the Star Wars community. You know, is it an investment or is it just a hobby? Like, what are your opinions on the hobby in general, not just Star Wars? But
I think the hobby in general, I think it benefits the collector just because, like, if it's a passion, then it's a passion, right? You do what you love what you do. And if you enjoy collecting toys, that's great. If you just so happen to enjoy collecting toys that are worth a lot of money, cool. You could be that Riri like me, and I collect toys that aren't worth really anything.
Mm.
But you know, it's still just the fact that it's just the passion.
yeah,
But you know, with that being said, you know, you end up collecting things that are worth money, and then it does become an investment. Because the things that I have that are worth money, I'm done putting them into the business, unfortunately, because I'm saving them for my kids. So that way, when they get older, they can do what they want with them, and hopefully reap a benefit from it at some point. But I mean, it's just we talked about natural progression. It's the progression of what it is. The collecting becomes like there becomes value to it, and you can't help that. And if you happen to be sitting on a mint, then you just, and unfortunately, apples to apples, you were collecting and investing at the same time.
I guess I'm speaking to the people who buy with the intent on investing them and flipping them in 10 years. And I
definitely have, like, in the comic book world, that's huge.
Yeah.
Right. There's, I mean, with the MCU, with the DC movies, with all the independent movies, everything's getting bought up and turned into a TV show. Like, there is so much speculation on the market, and it's a market. It's no longer like, there's collectors, and then there's collectors that are watching the comic book market. They are watching sales, they're watching trends, they're getting their top 20 lists every single week to say these books are trending up and these books are trending down. And every single week or every month we get a new trailer for something. And now it's what's the latest we have coming out? We have Ant-Man and the Wasp, right? Quantumania, and we have Blade. You're going to see the first appearance of Blade going through the roof. It's already a huge book. Like, it's a $2,600 book raw.
Wow.
So now the second appearance of Blade going up, and then you're going to see third appearance of Blade going up. You're going to see first solo appearance, first solo series of Blade going up, and then any other minor character in that movie, their books are going to start shooting up because the sales are going to go bananas. The couple months, as soon as that first trailer drops, the sales go nuts. as an example, did everyone watch like WandaVision?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, spoiler alert for people out there that haven't seen it. White Vision showed up. Right?
Yeah.
Right.
That night that I watched that episode, I got on eBay and checked out new West Coast Avengers 45, which is the first appearance of White Vision. That book went from a $1 bin book to a $45 book to a $100 book in literally less than 48 hours.
Wow.
So the market's dictated by what's coming out right now, and then there's the whole fear of missing out, the FOMO, people that go out and buy all these modern books of any first appearance. Like there is a market, and then there's people that are just like, I collect Silver Age and I like it because I want to get all of my Amazing Spider-Man books. I'm going to put money into it, and those books are never going to go down.
Mm-hmm.
It's literally like what it's like trading on the stock market right now, and it has balanced out since COVID, but during COVID it was freaking crazy.
Yeah, I've noticed that a lot more in comic books than I have toys, because I guess comic books have been out forever. Like you were saying, it's a $1 bin book, and then people can go, oh, I've got that book somewhere, and it's 40, they made $40.
Yeah, I agree, Glenn. The toy market, it's not so much as it is now in toys as it is in comics, but in the toy market, I still believe there is some like growth in value with your vintage stuff. Star Wars is never going away.
Oh no, right.
And it's only gonna that vintage stuff is only gonna grow in value. Because it's going to become more and more rare, because it's going to go into some people's attics at the end of when they're done. Yeah, I think the toy market has room to grow, but it's not fluctuating like crazy like the comic book market is.
And I hear that, and I remember the 90s, people were buying it like it was stock, and the whole thing crashed. And I'm like, there's some similarities. Is it going to happen again? Like, I don't know.
I think
Especially,
if any
like,
market's going to crash because of that, it'll be Pops.
Yeah.
I don't think Star Wars. I don't even think modern Legends or even Black Series toys. I don't think any of that will feel that kind of crash like Pops will do. But I just don't know when that bottom's going to fall out. And it's just because we were talking earlier, Pops, they follow whatever's hot right now. Glenn, you said it the best. Whatever's hot right now, they make a pop of it, and that pop goes on fire for X amount of months, but they don't lose value. If they were a crap pop to begin with, they were a crap pop forever, and then they get vaulted as a crap pop. But if they're a hot pop, then they go and they stay. But they don't usually go further than what they start off with. Like once they hit,
They
and they just hold.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean the real world economy will dictate whether or not there's going to be another crash. That disposable income that everyone has, and they went out and they're like, you know what I want to do? I want to start collecting comics. I want to start collecting toys now while I'm not doing anything in my house because I can't leave because I'll die. That turned into in a year or two from now, they're like, you know what, I don't like collecting anymore because I go outside, and they're going to sell their collections. And then so right now it's a seller's market, but it is trending downward currently, because the economy is also trending downward currently. But it will be a buyer's market very soon. So if you're a buyer and you want to get those things that, were a little bit out of reach before, keep an eye on them now. In a couple months, maybe a year, they're going to be a little bit closer to being affordable. And then it will go back up.
Interesting.
Yeah. I was kind of curious how long it would take the people, like you were saying, we're going to get bored and we're like, why'd I spend all this money? And like, they got other things they can do. They can start going to concerts again or whatever, or travel. And they're like, I'm going to spend that money, or I can go sell this stuff and go on a really awesome trip.
We
started the conversation talking about chases. How do chase pops do? Is it just a thing to get people in the door? Or do they really sell?
I think it kind of is. I think they play it on both sides because I've seen pops where there's a chase or a variant,
Yeah.
and the original pop is worth more than the chase.
Oh,
So I think it's just really, again, we something we talked about throughout the entire time so far was crapshoots. I think chases are a crapshoot because it's either going to be a chase that's really worth something, or it's going to be a chase. So you can be like, yeah, I got a chase.
Mhm.
Is it worth anything? Nope, just right there, collecting dust.
Yeah, and I think for pops, people don't collect the pops for chases as much as like Star Wars or Legends or any of those other like 6-inch figures, those detailed figures. I think they just collect what they like. Like,
Yeah.
oh, that's a neat Puff the Magic Dragon. I'm gonna buy that. Oh,
It's going to take me 8 years to find that one. Okay.
Yeah. I like Better Call Saul. I'm gonna get a Saul Goodman pop.
Right.
And that pop's probably not gonna like shoot through the roof, but they like it. They put it up on their wall with their other pops, and they're happy. Good for them. They should be.
Mhm.
I'm like, you're not buying it to. I feel like you're not buying it to resell, and you're buying it because you enjoy it. If you're buying it to resell, then I'm sorry, man. Like, go invest in the stock market.
Yeah.
Like, if you're buying it to make money off of it, like the '90s happened. We all know what happened in the '90s
Yeah.
with comic. Like it's not necessarily ESP, but we can see into the future.
What was your greatest find?
The Massachusetts collection.
The
You
which
want
one?
to? Yeah, the Massachusetts collection.
What was that? What's the story behind the Massachusetts collection?
So Darren sends me a message out of nowhere on Facebook Messenger. He goes, "Look at this lot," and I was like, "All right." And so I log on and start scrolling through these pictures, and I'm like, "Holy crap!" Like, there are unpunched Ninja Turtles here. There are Silverhawks. Like, there's just a plethora of stuff. And Darren's like, "Well, what do you want?" And we want all of it. What are you talking about? We want all of it. Well, they got cars in modern Star Wars. Who cares? Get all of it. Let's get all of it. And so we it took almost 2 weeks to work this deal.
Yeah,
it took a hot minute. And then I ended up making the trek. So I fly out to Massachusetts. I get a rental car, stay overnight, drive out, pick this thing up, and I drive it back. But yeah, that was probably, I'm going to agree with Darren. That's probably the best find we've ever had.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
So
Go ahead.
Okay, Glenn.
Well, that was just a marketplace find, or somebody contacted you?
That was a marketplace find.
Wow.
I mean, I was literally probably scrolling on Facebook aimlessly, and I saw this post about this collection, and the first thing I saw was a card at Dungeons and Dragons Dragon figure.
The Dragonette.
Yeah,
Dragon.
like that. That's a $200 toy. And then I got on it again. It's like, oh, I have Ninja Turtles. Here's some Ninja Turtles, and I saw a 10-back Leo or a 10-back Mikey. I'm like, okay, that's something. And I'm like, oh, it's unpunched. Okay. And they're like, there's more than this. This is just a piece of the collection. And it was 90s vintage and 80s vintage. And I'm like, I immediately messaged them, like, what else you got? And they sent me like 30 pictures.
Wow.
And they sent me a spreadsheet. And then they sent me a priced spreadsheet on how much they think everything is worth retail. And we started talking numbers, and I only want this. They only, well, okay, if we're only this, we're going to do this. I'm like, well, if I buy the whole thing, what's your number? And we ended up agreeing on a number. And I'm like, they're like, well, we're going to bulk ship it down. I'm like, no, you're not.
No, thank you.
Nobody but one of us is touching that.
Like,
Yeah.
we're going to get it. We're
Because-
in Georgia. Where are you? And they're like, MA. I'm like, Maryland? That's not far. They're like, no, Massachusetts. I'm like, it's further.
That's far. That's far.
Wow. Yeah,
Straight
because then
shot down 95.
you're gonna get a mint on card shipped in a bubble mailer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're thousands of them every day.
Oh,
But you
I
got to
can't
see
say
them.
anything. Yes, yeah, we got to see him before any payment was done. The guy we dealt with was a middleman between us and the collector. The collector was a musician up north, and he collected on the side. I think he said he found like a Batman figure and was like, "Oh, I love toys. I want to buy toys and make music all for the rest of my life." And that's what he did. And he retired from making music and decided he wanted to sell off all his toys. And Darren was the lucky guy to find that lot. So
Wow.
And I was sweating bullets every single day waiting for them to respond.
Yeah.
oh yeah, dude.
The
That's
anxiety was
the
probably through the
worst.
roof.
There was
Oh,
a
it was
point,
nuts.
and I said, "Don't be afraid to lose this one. Like, I don't know if we're going to get it, but don't be afraid if we lose this, because it may not happen."
Yeah, I think that was like 2 weeks into the conversation, and we were dead silent for like 3 or 4 days at that point.
Wow.
And we hadn't heard anything. And I was messaging Darren like a madman. "What's going on, dude? You think we're gonna lose this thing? We really can't afford to lose this, can we?"
I mean, we could have always afford to lose it. Like, well,
Yeah,
now
because we never had it. So I mean,
yeah, now we
Yeah.
just don't spend the money. But like, I'm like, that's like it's a grail collection. There were what, 7 Silverhawks in that, and some of them are unpunched.
Wow.
Yeah,
Well,
so it's a no-brainer. Yeah, I want to buy that.
Mhm.
Yeah. So it leads into the next question, real quick, Glenn. Sorry.
Yeah, no, go for it, because you may have the same question. Go for it.
What collection got away from you?
Oh,
Is that not the question?
no, you're fine.
Oh, there's just so many.
yeah, which one really didn't get away from us? Man, that's a really tough one.
Yeah.
Because when we first started, it was a matter of seeing all this stuff. We were going to Conyers and Toylanta and walking this floor, and we saw people who were local to Columbus like us having all this stuff. And like, "Oh yeah, we just went over to so-and-so, we picked this and this." And we were like, "Well, we can't ever find that stuff. Well, we go there and ain't got nothing." And so, yeah, sorry, go ahead, Darren, because I just lost my train of thought. I was just thinking about small tables and modern Batman toys.
When we first started, yeah, we were looking at everyone else's stuff. We were like, "Oh, look at that! Oh, look at that!" And now we're like, "Oh, we have that." But when it comes to losing collections and losing, like, it happens a lot.
Yeah.
I've lost comic book collections multiple times because I threw them a number that I knew it was worth, and they're like, "Well, these are comics, so they're collectible, and they're worth way more than that." I'm like, "Oh, well, no, they're not, but okay." It happens all the time. It's you cast out as many lines as you can, and when you get a bite, you get a bite. You're not going to get them all. And we've taken hits just like everyone else. I've bought things where I sold it for a lot less than what to get out of it, or maybe just broke even, or even less than broke even. Like, you buy a book that you think is going to be this huge book, and you're like, "Oh yeah, well, I bought it for 50. I'll give you 5 for it." And it happens. Then you get on these grails of collections, and you're like, "Okay, now it's business time. I gotta put on the game face." And what you guys see is not my game face, and it's hard for me to get into game face because I look like a lunatic most days. Like,
Good, Glenn.
Picture stab me.
So what's it like having a conversation with the wives, and you're like, "I'm driving to Massachusetts to buy a collection"?
Yeah, I want to know that story, Matt, because I didn't drive.
So to be honest, I am probably one of the most blessed men in the world, because my wife is so supportive of this venture, for even from day one. But so I get off the phone with Darren. We're talking about this whole collection, and Jen says, what are you talking about?" I was on the phone with Darren, and he found a big collection. And she's like, "Really? Well, what's in it?" And so I start telling her this, and she starts doing this. She doesn't really care about anything I really care about. So she was like, "Okay, well, are they going to ship it?" We're like, "No, God, no. Nobody else is touching this stuff. Did you hear what I just said? Unpunched Ninja Turtles, unpunched Silverhawks." And she said, "I don't care what you just told me." "Okay, well, I have to drive to go get it." "You have to what?" "Yeah, I'm going to drive up there, and then I'll drive back." She said, "Oh, no. you're not going to go without sleep that long. So you're going to fly up there and then you'll drive back. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. What airline do you want me to book? But like I said, it was just really, I was really fortunate on it because she's so understanding. We got 4 kids and she has a bigger set than most men do and took care of all 4 kids. I FaceTimed them when I landed, like we talked on the way home. Yeah, it was that one was super simple. Now I'll tell you what, there have been times where I like, oh, I got to go to Athens to go pick something up. She said, what? You're not taking all 4 kids? What are you doing? How long are you gonna be gone? Can you pick this up on the way home? Yes, ma'am. But yeah, aside from that, that one was super simple.
Awesome.
Yeah, usually it's scheduling with my wife. She's always very supportive of it. I'm like, the last big book collection I bought, I went to Dothan. I think I went to Dothan for that comic book collection. And I told her, look, I'm going to go to Dothan in the morning and I'm going to go take a look at the comic book collection. She says, you know what? I trust your judgment and is it worth it? I'm like, maybe. He sent me some pictures and I'm like, maybe, but she's like, I trust your judgment. And, you know, I called her when I finished the deal and she's like, was it worth it? I'm like, yep. I basically every big 90s Marvel book was in that collection.
Wow.
So you talk first Cable, first Deadpool, Amazing Spider-Man 300, 299, 298, first Carnage, first Elektra, like everything. I'm like, yeah, it's worth it. But it was in just random boxes. There were Chewy boxes. There were like Walmart boxes. There were, I think, like bulk meat stick boxes from like you buy like 4 meat sticks in a pack for a snack. There's a bulk box of those with just Spider-Man comics in it, but I'm like, it's worth it.
Yeah, I'll take that meat.
Yeah. I mean, I've talked to a friend that found his giant-sized X-Men #1 in a bag of dog food in a barn.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm like, yeah, I'll take boxes. But
Yeah.
you give me a app for comics, but one of those comics is Amazing Fantasy 15. I'm good.
Wow.
So, what's been the biggest thing you've sold at a show? Or most expensive thing, or
the most expensive thing we've sold at a show, and you know, this is just showing how long the grind is for people out there that are like, I want to do this, but I don't have any money. I think we've sold like $800-900 toys, or a comic book, like a New Mutants 98 in a graded New Mutants 98 in a 9.6. I think I sold for like $700 cash. We are for the longest time, you know, you what we make at the show is what we invest back into the business, and what we make at the show is what we invest back in the business. So we were limited by how much we had, and now we're finally at a point where we can buy those nice things. So ask me that again in like a year, and I'll be like, oh man, let me tell you about this like $10,000 piece. But yeah, like I think we ran at once.
I got my moment for that, and it was not at Conyers. It wasn't until Toylanta, I think. No, it was Conyers. I had a vintage AT-AT inbox, and when we sold that thing, I looked at Darren like I just gave birth. I was so proud of myself. I did a dance. I think I couldn't believe it.
Was it sealed?
Well, did we sell it to? I thought we sold it to Glen.
We thought about it. Mandy's still kicking herself for not buying it, and it's been 4 years because it was in the box. And
it wasn't sealed, but it still had the original tape and original price tag and everything on it. But yeah, like I had that thing forever, and we were gearing up for that show, and I looked at Jennifer, and I was like, I'm taking that with me, and she said, really? You're gonna sell that? I was like, yeah, I'm gonna sell it. And I brought it out, and Darren's like, what are you doing with that thing? Sell it, bro.
You're calling your what do you call it in baseball? Your
Calling
hit
my
before
shot,
you,
man.
yeah,
Yeah.
calling your hit before you make it.
Kobe.
Center
Yeah.
field.
And I
Yeah,
think
that was
y'all-
kind
Yeah.
of the moment I kind of realized I'm like, oh, okay, this is viable.
uh-huh.
Like you marked it for 300 and someone bought it, and I'm like, oh, people actually
let-
pay for it.
You
Yeah.
let that walk away, Glenn, for $300?
Yeah. Well, at the time, it was 4 years ago, man.
Yeah, it was before COVID. It's when
Right.
money actually
Yeah,
meant something.
but
Right,
still.
exactly. And I think that the thing that if the instructions would have not been chewed up, we probably would have walked home with it.
That was probably the most beat up thing in there was the instructions, and
Yeah.
I'll attest to that. But
It was the
I-
only instructions on the planet too, so you can't find another
I
one.
know, right?
not couldn't get on eBay.
Oh, you know
Well-
what? Matt? I actually can say the biggest thing we've ever sold.
Okay.
That's what it was.
Our soul.
Avengers 1 through 25.
Oh yeah, yeah.
My-
That was the other time I almost gave birth when I was taking a picture holding Avengers
Wow.
#1.
My uncle, who is the reason that I got into comic book, called me and he was talking about selling his entire Avengers run. I'm talking like 1 through 300.
Wow.
Full.
Wow.
Told him like I can't afford it. He's like, you want to buy it from him? Like, no, I can't. And we ended up doing a consignment for him. I'm like, we'll take X amount of percent and we'll give you X amount of percent and we'll sell it for you. And I called one person and told him I was getting it. He's like, I'll take 1 through 25 and this one and this one and this one. And we ended up selling that. Like it was a stack of books about like a foot tall for $5,200.
Wow.
Wow.
And it hurt me. Like we had it at the show, the Savannah Comic Con. I had it the last day, and we didn't sell any of it, but we took a lot of pictures with it. Like I have a picture of my son with Avengers #1. I am holding Avengers 1 and 4. Matt holding Avengers 1 and 4. I'm like, here it is. They're gonna go like as soon as I get home. They're sold, but here they are.
That's
That's
awesome.
great. Yeah.
And it's like it's one of those like those are the nice things you get where you get to like have those really, really nice pieces and be like, I'm holding, I mean, a very niche piece of history, but this is a piece of history. Very briefly too. It's always brief. All these nice things we're like, oh, look at that. Oh, bye. It's gone.
Yeah, it's yours now. Have fun.
Right.
So
But-
where can people find you?
Yeah.
Everywhere. Minus Twitter, right? We're not on Twitter.
Twitter.
But yeah, it's a very toxic place. But we're on Facebook. We're on Whatnot, TikTok, Instagram, Nerd U Comics.
You can Nerd Comics and collectables at Nerd U Comics. Please follow us. I'm starving for attention all the time.
And he gets really angry when we don't get extra likes.
The
and
flash
everything.
of gremlin you're pointing to?
Yeah, Barry, he's a jerk, man. He's been really good this whole time because he hasn't had a drink yet today.
Okay.
My wife keeps trying to buy it off of them every time at every show because they have a different one at every show, and she's like, "Let me buy it," and they're like, "No."
One of these days, when
can't.
he passed out after one of his benders, I might just let him like wake up in your. I really hope you have good insurance because he's gonna tear it apart.
Oh,
Nice.
yes, my collection is insured. It's fun when you're talking to. Thankfully, my insurance agent is a collector also, so I can send him stuff
that
and he
works.
doesn't think I'm crazy. He's always like, "Dude, that stuff sounds awesome."
I need you to insure it for me. Put it on the policy.
Right.
Yeah.
I'll just shoot him an email
Smart.
and yeah,
That's smart, man.
I just got Wampa teeth. Add those.
I have to add my Wampa teeth. Damn. Thanks for
What?
reminding me.
Oh man.
I picked up a set of Wampa teeth that were from Empire Strikes Back. They weren't used at Empire, but they were like, they'll make like a dozen of things, and they used 2 of them. It was like one of the dozen things.
That's still rad, man.
Yeah.
With a COA too, which
Right.
is a bonus.
Very, very important piece of paper for that because I mean anyone can just hand you a set of dentures and be like, yeah, these are screen used.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You see,
Yeah.
they look exactly the same, just as yellow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, but yeah, talking to getting back. I know we're getting ready to wrap it up, but talking to the wives about big purchases is always fun. Like, hey babe, I want to buy this, and she's like, what?
But that's when you know they're understanding, when it's not like an instant argument. It's just like, really? That?
Yeah.
I know what you get. Why are you getting that? Because
Yeah.
I want it, I have it.
Yeah. I think when I bought my hard copy, my Bill and Ted said it was about an hour conversation, and she was just like, freaking buy them. Shut up.
Annoying now.
Go away.
Yeah, leave me alone. Actually, she looked at me and said, if you buy that, I want to buy this. And I'm like, all right, you got yourself a
That's
deal.
Deal.
Dude, that's the perfect marriage, man.
Yeah.
Two collectors in a relationship, so long that you don't collect the same things, is perfect, because you're
Right.
both of you you're just enabling each other. I want to buy this. Well, I want to buy this too. Go buy it. Go buy it. Ah!
Yeah. Yeah, it does kind of get, the only time it gets annoying is when she won't spend the money. And I'm like, let's spend the money. She's like, no, I won't do it, because she's the type of collector that'll find a beater and is just as happy with the beater, $100 beater, as she is spending $1,000 on something, because she's like, it's in my collection now.
It has it.
You can
Yep.
always have a collection.
Right.
I believe that no grade is, or A grade is better than no grade. Like,
Right.
at least, like, I'll get a shell of a Castle Grayskull, but eventually I'll piece it together and I'll have a whole Castle Grayskull.
Right.
That's the fun of it.
Well, here's what's crazy is there's a collector that I've been to a collector's place, and he does Indiana Jones. And he's like, my Indiana Jones collection is from bottoms of the bins. I don't buy anything. And when we buy a collection, I dig it out the bottom of the bin. So all this, it's been like extra stuff.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
But that's being passionate about what you love, and and taking it for what it is.
Yep.
You know, that's what collecting is all about.
It's also very smart, because now he has a bunch of stuff he can sell to buy other stuff.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's a
Because
nice
there are other
strategy.
people who don't care where it came from, so long that they get what they got.
Right. Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It was fun. We'll have to have you guys on again, you know.
Dude, I'd love it, man.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. Like, if you guys are ever interested in, like, when we open the store, when the store actually has lights on and an open sign, and lease paperwork signed, you guys can come. By all means, come by, podcast, or do the show from inside the store. I don't care.
Will do.
Yeah, that would be
man.
really cool.
Yeah, do it outside on the street and just get passerbyers. Know what's out there. Like, go in there and look. It's stuff. Go look at the stuff.
Yeah.
What's
We'll
your
get
favorite
Tony
Star Wars
Johnson,
movie
too.
for $5?
Yeah. What? Just walk up to passerby. Who's your favorite Star Wars character? And they're gonna say, like, Captain Picard, and you're gonna be like,
Yeah. And then they get punched.
we're gonna jump you when you turn
Yeah,
down.
right.
You're a Jedi, Harry.
Right.
Said Gandalf.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
man, guys, thank you so much.
Yeah,
thanks
thank
for
you. That was
coming on.
fun.
Yeah, it was awesome.
A lot of fun, guys. Really appreciate you coming on. Again, I'm gonna do another shameless plug.
Yeah.
Nerd Comics and Collectables on Facebook, Instagram, whatnot, TikTok. Give us a follow, like, bookmark. We post as often as we can about new stuff that's coming in, and keep an eye out for any updates on Nerd U, the physical store. It's like Nerd U, the movie. Also, just so you know, this is the first time we've actually publicly announced that we are opening a store.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exclusive
It's
content.
been through small channel, just around about, hey guys, guess what? We're opening a store. But yeah, this is the first platform where we actually do announce it. So yeah, thank you for the platform, guys, and the opportunity. Because
Yeah,
Thanks for
thanks
coming
for
on.
sharing.
Yeah, just
great.
you know, we got to actually open it, so they're not calling it shenanigans when, like, your comment section are full. They never open.
these guys over here just flim flam in the public. That'll be us.
And that's
Yeah.
that's Nerd U Comics, right? Is it?
Yeah,
All right.
Nerd-
Nerd U.
the
Say it
letter-
again. Say it again. You keep breaking up.
that Nerd U Comics and Collectables, or Nerd U Comics. That's the letter U, not Nerd U.
YOU. It's just the letter U.
That's it.
All right. Close it out.
Yeah, man. Close it.
All right. Thank you for listening to Smuggler's Galaxy podcast. If you could leave a like and a 5-star review of the show anywhere you listen to your podcast, if it's allowed, it really helps us out and points people to our show. You could follow us on social media. What are we, Smuggler's Galaxy?
Yes.
Yeah, on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Send us an email, message us. We love your feedback. We'd love to make you part of the show. Our email is smugglersgalaxy@gmail.com. Thank you to Alfonso Riviera for the Smugglers Galaxy logo. And thank you to Levi Waterhouse for the music. Hasbro re-released VC66. Hashtag vote with your wallet. Pass on what you've learned. Be a positive force in the collecting community. This is the way.
This is the way.
This is the way. That's a dope exit, bro. Man. Way to sign out there, dude.
Well done.
Danny Boberty got nothing on you, man. This is what's
Yeah.
up.
That was one breath.
Finish strong, as they say.
He's red in the face. You can't hear it, but he's red in the face.
Yeah. I didn't breathe. Now I'm getting my oxygen.